So today I wanted to talk about what it means to be anchored, the 7 anchors for your soul. And the anchor definition is an anchor keeps a ship from drifting away when the wind and waves get rough. If you've ever seen a boat in a storm, you know it gets tossed around unless that anchor is holding it steady. Life is like the ocean. Some days the water is calm, and others the wind and waves feel like they're coming for you. And how many of you guys can relate to that? Like I know that I can. Spiritually, emotionally, mentally, we all need something that keeps us steady. May hope be the anchor for your soul today. So when life is always lifing, right? And so when the storm hits in our lives, um, it's just hard to like grab a hold to that anchor. And I remember I was laid off. I was laid off twice. Not I remember. I was laid off twice within the last 5 months of this year. And maybe you've been laid off too. I It was the first time I was laid off was in January of this year, and it was hard. Like my anxiety was at an all-time high because I was like, oh my gosh, like it was so unexpected. Um, it was so unexpected, and I froze. I was like, oh my gosh, like what am I gonna do? Um, you know, I need to hurry up and find a job, but this job market is bad right now. And and so, I just had to really, really like step back and say, you know what, like it's gonna work out. Like it's gonna work out. It seems like a bad storm right now, but it's gonna work out. And maybe you've been laid off too, or maybe you experienced a divorce or heartbreak, or maybe depression is heavy on you. Maybe your child is struggling or a friendship ended. My point is that life happens to all of us. And the the real talk, the storm isn't optional, but staying anchored is. So here's the danger of drifting away from the anchor. When you're unanchored, what happens when you're unanchored or when that boat is unanchored? You get tossed around by your emotions. You feel disconnected from your purpose. You lose confidence in who you are, and you make decisions out of fear instead of faith. And that's how I felt when I first got laid off, right? Like I felt like I was losing confidence in who I was because I had put all of my confidence in this job, in these titles that I was getting from this job. And I just felt disconnected, after I was laid off. And drifting feels like, why do I feel so lost? Where did my joy go? I don't even recognize myself anymore. And I would have to say that, like, you know, through all of the things that I've gone through, there have been lots of moments where I was like, whoa, like I don't even recognize Kimberly anymore. Like, who am I? Have you guys ever experienced that? So today, I want to throw you an anchor today. I want to hand you a spiritual anchor that you can hold on to like right now. We are our brothers and sisters keepers, and you're not alone. You may feel like you're sinking, but there's hope ahead. I promise you, there is hope ahead. So if you're a man and you're watching, maybe you're struggling with co-parenting and trying to show up for your kids, but life keeps knocking you down and you keep getting one disappointment after another. Or maybe you're addicted to drugs and alcohol and don't know how to stop. So you've basically checked out of life. You're numbing your pain with these drugs and alcohol, and you don't have a community, and you're your worst enemy. If you're a woman and you're watching, maybe you placed your identity in titles like I did on the job, and now you're laid off like me, and you don't know who you are without the titles. You feel lost without your job, like you have no sense of purpose. Maybe you're going through perimenopause or menopause. Your hormones are not being kind. You're having mood swings and hot flashes, and life is miserable for you right now. You feel like fighting. You feel like you're fighting life all alone. Maybe maybe that's you, but today I'm telling you not to give up. You don't have to fight alone. Speak on it. Tell others how you're feeling. Be brave and be vulnerable and honest. And that's the key, like exposing it, exposing how you're feeling. Put your ego and pride aside and allow safe people in your space who can encourage you. You heard what I said, right? Safe people in your space who can encourage you. And I want you to know that I'm one of those people. This is a safe space for you to comment in the comments on what you're going through. Today, I throw you an anchor. And this video is me tossing you a lifeline. So let's talk about anchor number one. Anchor number one is perspective. Life is hard, but how you see life changes everything. And if you've been following me on my YouTube page, then you know that I have OCD. And when I was first diagnosed, I was asking, like, why me? Like, I'm a good person. I treat people kind. I lead with love. Why do I have this disorder? Because along with OCD comes paranoia, isolation, all the things, right? And so I was just I just kept asking why. And I remember my husband said, well, why does our godson have autism? Why does the next person deal with, why does the next person have cancer or whatever, And so when he put it like that, I was like, oh, like I have to shift the narrative. Like instead of saying, why me? I need to say, what can I learn from this? Instead of I'm drowning, I need to say, you know what? This storm will pass. This too shall pass. And what I've learned is that perspective anchors you when emotions try to carry you away. I'm going to say that one more time. Perspective anchors you when emotions try to carry you away. And anchor number two is faith and hope. Faith gives you strength when circumstances try to break you. And it is so true. And faith is like seeing those things that aren't as though they were, knowing or seeing that the impossible can happen. And that gives you strength when circumstances try to break you. Hope reminds you that the story isn't over yet. I had I can't remember if it was 5 or 6 miscarriages, but I had 5 to 6 miscarriages. And I was in the car one day and I was bawling to God, bawling, crying in the car because, initially I was told, oh, because you have PCOS, polycystic ovary syndrome. Initially, I was told because you have that, you won't be able to have kids on your own. You'll need help, right? And then once I started having these miscarriages, the doctor was like, oh, well, it's not that you can't have babies. It's that you just can't have them full, you just can't carry them full term. And so I was like, okay, I really don't think y'all know why I can't get pregnant, but okay, I'll go with that. And so I was in the car and I was just driving for, about 30 minutes. And then finally I found a parking lot, a Marshall's parking lot. And I went to the back of the parking lot and I just bawled, y'all. I bawled. I was crying so bad that my eyes were swollen and it was crazy. And I remember in the car, I told God, I said, look, this is not, I feel like you're playing some sort of sick joke on me, right? And I was like, if, I would much rather you not allow me to get pregnant than to keep taking me through getting pregnant and then like having to, lose the baby at 2 months or 3 months or 6 months. And I told him, I was like, so I need you to stop playing this sick joke on me. And then I told him too, the very last thing I told him is, I said, I want you to know that today is the last day of me wanting to have a child. Like, I've mourned not being able to have a child, and today is the day that I surrender. Today is the day that I say, okay, God, if a kid isn't in the cards for me, then I surrender. And after today, I won't talk about it again. I won't ask you for a child. Like, I accept that that's it. But little did I know that I was pregnant with my daughter when I was saying that. And I was further along in my pregnancies than all of the miscarriages that I had, if that makes sense. So I was much farther along than I had been, with my previous miscarriages. But I did want to give you some practical ways to build hope, like reading uplifting books and listening to uplifting songs, journaling your thoughts, saying positive affirmations every day, surrounding yourself with people who have your best interests at heart. That's so important. Meditating and talking to God. If you don't believe in God, talking making sure that your energy is right, like when you show up in the world. Pray honest prayers, even if all you can say is help, just pray honest prayers. Anchor number 3, community and support. I can't stress this enough. Isolation makes storms worse. Social isolation is not having relationships, contact with, or support from others. Loneliness is the feeling of being alone, disconnected, or not close to others. Social isolation and loneliness put a person at risk of developing serious mental and physical health conditions. OCD, I know for me, OCD had me isolating myself from people because it wants you to do that. Because when you isolate, you can't expose what's really going on with you, and you suffer in silence. And that's what it wants you to do. And OCD isn't the only thing that wants you to, suffer in silence. Depression, anxiety, divorce, friendships, breakups, all of that. All of those things want us to suffer in silence and isolate ourselves. And we do that I know that I did that out of fear of being judged and people catching on to the fact that I really had OCD, like observing me. I would isolate myself because I didn't want them to observe and say, something must be up with Kimberly, So social isolation and loneliness can cause heart disease and stroke. It can cause diabetes, depression and anxiety, suicidal and self-harm, dementia, early death. And so some ways that you can stay connected is by calling a friend when you feel heavy. Join a support group or join a meetup group. I've done that in the past. I'm a part of some OCD support groups now. And I've definitely been to like a plethora of meetups. Be honest with trusted people about what you're feeling. And just realize that sometimes healing comes through other people's encouragement. So, community is healing for us. Anchor number 4, boundaries and self-care. You can't carry everything. You can't carry everything by yourself. Some things have to be released. I used to be the one who always wanted to fix other people's problems. Yes, I was that person. I was that friend. I wanted to be the fixer. I enjoyed being there for others until it became too much for me. And I had to start doing what? Setting boundaries. And that was so hard for me. That was hard for me to start setting boundaries because that was like my love language, to be there for my friends in that capacity. But it was becoming too much. And I know that we've all heard that song by Erykah Badu called Bag Lady. Bag Lady, you gonna hurt yourself carrying all them bags like that. So, I encourage you today, like if you are carrying other people's baggage, other people's stuff, or stuff that you've been carrying from your past for years, and it's time to let it go, I encourage you to take that bag off of your back, unzip it, and dump that stuff out, and do not put it on your back again. A way or practical self-care ideas, journaling again, journaling your feelings instead of bottling them up and keeping them on the inside. Taking a walk and really moving your body, that really helps me. Like when I take walks, that really, really helps me. Saying no when your plate is already full, like that is self-care, y'all. That is self-care, us saying no and not worried about if people take it personal, but really, really, putting ourselves first. And putting ourselves first isn't selfish. It's self-preservation. It's what we should do. It's holy, doing a puzzle where you just, sitting in silence, meditating is self-care. Going on a date by yourself, planning your own party and not waiting for somebody else to do it, going on a solo trip or a staycation. Those are practical self-care ideas. Protecting your peace equals protecting your anchor. Protecting your peace equals protecting your anchor. And anchor number 5, gratitude in the storm. I can't stress this one enough either. Gratitude doesn't ignore the pain. It shines a light in the middle of it. Gratitude doesn't ignore the pain. It shines a light in the middle of the pain. So a daily practice that you could do, because I do this. Now, I don't write it down, but I do before I get out of bed. I try to do at least 3 to 5 things that I'm grateful for before my feet touch the floor. So, but you can write it down. You can write it in your journal, or you can say, you know what, before I do anything today, I am going to, say out loud 3 to 5 things that I'm grateful for before I even start my day. And why do we do this? Because gratitude shifts our focus from what's lost to what remains. And so, I want to hear from you in the comments once you start doing that and how that made you feel. Anchor 6, speaking life over yourself. Speaking life over yourself. We've heard this a million times in life, that words are powerful. Our words carry weight. So start speaking hope into your day. Like start speaking positive affirmations into your day. Like, this storm will pass. This too will pass. I am stronger than what I think. God is with me even here, even when life is lifing, even when life is messy. God is here with me, even here in this place. Self-talk is an anchor or the wind pushing you farther out to the sea. So self-talk is either an anchor or it's the wind pushing you farther out to sea. And we want our self-talk to be that anchor. Anchor number 7, purpose and forward movement. Realizing that storms end, but when they do, what will you move toward? So I've been laid off 3 times. I told you I was laid off 5 months apart from each other this year. So that's twice recently. And then once years ago, I was laid off, right? When I was laid off years ago, I didn't have a sense of purpose, y'all. At that time, I didn't have a plan B. My job was my world. And once I didn't have it anymore, like I literally had to dig deeper and really ask God, like, why am I here? What is my purpose? What did you put me on this earth to do? What did you put me on this earth for? And now that I've been laid off most recently, I've realized, oh, God, you freed me up. You're freeing me up now so that I can do what I really love, which is making content to inspire and empower others on their journey. And this is what I love to do every day. But when I was working full time, I didn't have the opportunity to because I was so busy. I was so busy. But now I can show up and I can make content that I love and I can inspire and empower people on their journey. So ideas on how you can move forward when the storm ends. Set one small goal each week. Learn something new or revisit an old passion. Help someone else going through the same storm. And purpose turns into power. Purpose turns into power. Remember that. And my final encouragement for you guys is to grab the anchor. Grab the anchor. You are not alone. You are not too far gone. Life will keep lifing, but you can stay anchored. Life will keep lifing, but you can stay anchored. So I want you to like this page, comment, and share this message with somebody you think that needs hope, and subscribe for more encouragement. But my prayer for you today is I send you strength, I send you peace, I send you hope, I send you stability, and I send you courage to grab your anchor today. And I'll see you in the next video.